Hey guys, what's going on? It is Cruzave here and I welcome each and every one of you to a brand new video here on our channel, The Guide. And today we have part 3 of our Defending to Elite series. We're going to talk about defending the open man and or space. If you haven't seen the first 2 parts of this series yet, then pause the video right now and check those out. The links are in the video description because the episodes of this series build upon another. And now let's jump into today's topic. Defending the open man or space is something that's really crucial when it comes to defending in FIFA, and it's often what your anticipation for the opponent's next move is based on. Essentially, what you want to do is incorporate your knowledge from the direction of game concept, which we explained in the first episode of this defending series, so that you can determine where the opponent is currently shifting the direction of game towards, or where he's most likely going to shift it towards next. And then you want to identify any open attacking players in that area or spaces opening up in between your defensive line or behind your backline. Once you've done that, you need to quickly make the corresponding player switch to the defender who's in that area and has the option to defend that open player or space. And then with some smart movement, you can take these dangerous options away from the opponent so that he can't use them in his attack. And if he still tries to, you will win the ball by pressuring him. Let's first take a look at some examples where we defend the open man. In this one right here, the opponent has the ball on the left hand side, but he's playing a pass back to his central player. And that means the direction of game is shifting downwards. And you can see that there's also an open player positioned there, his number 9, Ben Yedder. And if we pause the scene right here, we are not currently defending that pass, so it's very likely that the opponent will go for that option next. But since we realized it so early before he's even received the ball with his central midfielder, we still have time in order to move our central midfielder downwards into that passing lane. The fast jockey, as you can see here, which I'm using right now, is really effective for these kinds of movements with your defender. And so we get into that passing lane. The opponent even plays the pass first touch, but it doesn't matter. Our anticipation was correct and we're able to intercept the pass. But it's not always necessary to intercept the pass right away. Sometimes putting pressure on the opponent early is already enough to force him into doing a mistake. Like in this example right here, where the opponent has the ball on the wing. And right here, he literally only has one single passing option that he can go for with this positioning. And so we should defend against that. It doesn't make sense here to aggress him with our left back, because then he could simply initiate a 1-2 pass and utilize that space that we're opening up behind our back line. But instead, we can switch to our center back here. Just a quick right stick switch downwards. I don't select the central midfielder here because he's further away and it would take longer for me in order to pressure the opponent. So I instead select my center back and pull him out. It's fine to pull out your center back in situations like these where there's not a dangerous run behind your back line. And because of identifying the open man so early and moving towards him with the jockey movement with our defender, the opponent is under immense pressure when receiving the ball. We're not able to win it right away with a tackle, but our central midfielder joins in as well and the opponent gets hectic, tries to play a pass towards his other player and then just loses the ball. So remember that if the opponent is not threatening any dangerous dribblings or anything like that, don't wait for him to play passes, but instead identify his passing options beforehand and already move towards them, and then you can either intercept the pass right away or put immense pressure on him when he's receiving the ball. Before we talk about defending the open space, I want to remind you guys that if you're looking to improve your FIFA game and you want to achieve those higher ranks in the weekend league and division rivals, then definitely check out the Guide Plus, which is up and running and creating an awesome community for a couple of months now. On the Guide Plus, we release 4 articles and videos every single week, featuring the newest meta gameplay tips, FIFA Ultimate Team content, tactical and formation guides as well as mentality tips, and you'll also be able to join our exclusive Discord server to chat with us, the creators of the guide, and other FIFA players who want to improve. Just recently we published a video on how to prepare your finishes efficiently and score those chances, so if you're interested in that and want to improve your game on a daily basis, check out the guide plus, link in the description. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy. Sometimes there are spaces opening up in between your defensive lines and the opponent will have multiple attackers positioned in those spaces, and then you can't really defend only against one passing option. This often occurs in between your midfield and your defensive line, like in this example where the opponent plays a deep pass and essentially gets past my midfield immediately. So right here I realized that there's a big space in front of my back line and two attackers are positioned there, so I need to do something about it. I switch back to my other CM because he's in a better position closer to my back line, and I just pull him back into that space so that I can react and defend if the opponent decides to play the ball there. Because of the situation, I move and position differently here than in the previous examples. I just try to get behind the attackers and stabilize with my central midfielder. Don't go for tackles or anything like that. I just want to close the space and not allow him to push further forward towards my goal. When the opponent then lets the ball bounce back, I try to position in that same area, cover the space and be somewhere in the middle between the two passing options, because if I commit to one single one of them and the opponent plays the other, I might run into trouble, so I want to be able to react to either pass and be quickly on the opponent's toes. Now the opponent plays a longer pass towards the left hand side, and so the direction of game shifts, and I also move my central midfielder upwards slightly in order to still maintain in that space where the opponent now has 3 to 4 attackers, and I just try to hold a very stable defensive line. The direction of game is then once again shifting when the opponent plays a pass downwards and also receives the ball towards his right hand wing, and you can also see that the space which was open previously is now closed because 3 of my defenders are positioned close by the attackers, but there's another space opening up more towards the right hand side of the opponent's attack, and so because he's also shifting there, I quickly switch towards my left CM and pull him downwards with the fast jockey once again, and the opponent still decides to play a pass into that area, and because I reacted quickly, I'm able to punish him for that and go for a tackle when he receives the ball. However, spaces not only open up between defensive lines, but often also behind your back line. Like in this scene right here, where the opponent is in a typical 2-on-2 situation with his 2 attackers against my 2 center backs, and he initiates a 1-2 pass. And since I pulled out my right center back just a tiny bit to apply pressure, there's now a bit of space opening up behind him, and that's why I need to stick with that player and sprint backwards in order to close that space and deny the opponent the opportunity to convert on that run that he initiated with his attacker. The opponent still decided to play that pass and he loses the ball for it, so this is a spot where typically you can win a lot of balls by just covering the space behind your back line and covering that run from the attacking player, and then just collect the ball when the opponent plays the through ball. The second example here is a bit different because the opponent has the ball out of the midfield area in a longer dribbling, and I first move my center back out towards the right because there's some space opening up there, and if he decides for a short pass, then I want to be able to react to that, but his player is making a run in behind, so he's trying to get into that space which is opening behind my center back because I pulled him out a bit, and that's why I need to react. I can once again stick with the same player and just move him backwards into that space. Once again, the opponent is still playing the through ball and I'm able to collect it and win the ball. Now, in a FIFA match, defending the open man and space are two things which often go hand in hand with each other and occur during the same attack of the opponent, and you're not always able to win the ball back immediately by defending his first option. So you need to shift your attention, always realize and identify which spaces are opening up, which players are the most likely next passing options, and you need to shift your attention and player switch numerous times. We have an example for that right here. The opponent starts out on a counterattack and he receives the ball towards the right hand wing here in this spot, and essentially I'm in a 1-on-2 situation with my left back and there's an overlapping run from the winger. So what do? I move backwards in order to cover the space behind my left back and not allow the opponent to play a quick through ball. The opponent this time decides against that pass, so I'm not winning the ball. Instead, I quickly switch to my central midfielder in order to pull him back in time so that I can close the space in front of my back line and that I have a player there in order to defend, and I don't need to pull out one of my center backs. After withstanding some pressure from my central midfielder, the opponent plays the ball out to his right wing, where first I player switch to my left back in order to defend the one-on-one, but the opponent surprises me, immediately shifts direction towards the center again by playing the pass first touch to his player there, and I need to quickly identify what's happening and where the danger in this attack is now lying. So when the opponent receives the ball with Sancho, I see that he has an open man positioned in the center right on the edge of my box, which is a very likely passing option and a very dangerous one as well. I don't want to pull my left center back totally out of position towards that player, because then the opponent could just dribble straight with Sancho and punish me. So instead I do a quick right stick player switch towards my other center back and I pull him out a tiny bit in order to cover that open man. The opponent realizes that very quickly and doesn't play the pass into my feet, so for the next few seconds I use that center back in order to cover the space in front of my goal with the two attackers positioned in it so that the opponent can't play the pass there. He then seems to decide for a dribbling move towards the near post area. That's when I shift downwards with my center back and defend the one-on-one, and luckily I'm able to tackle the ball out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a like since it helps us out massively, and also make sure to check out the first two parts of this series on direction of game and reading the pitch. They're linked in the description down below, and stay tuned for the further parts of defending to elite. Also subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any further videos of the guide. I'll better talk to you in the next one. See you then. Much love. Peace.